Hi, it's been a few weeks since Wuthering Waves has come out, and personally, it's been awesome. But at the same time, having the majority of the map swept, no quests left to do, completing the endgame content, and spending hours to grind echoes until the heat death of the universe, I became a bit bored. So I thought to myself, man, the Lamia patch cannot come any sooner. Wait, wrong game. Anyway, I got to thinking that it'd be fun to look at Kuro's previous game, Punishing Grey Raven, to think about what ideas I want to see implemented into Wuthering Waves at this point. This kind of comparison means more to me than comparing this game to Genshin Impact because I want to see how Kuro has grown as a developer studio. You know, see how far they've come, from PGR to WUWA. I want to know what steps are they taking forward, or are they taking any steps back? And I'm not here to talk about the harsh negatives for the game, which there are, and I'm saving that for another video. But I just want to have a fun discussion about what I want to see as a PGR player. But let it be known that maybe some of this might already be in development or down the pipeline, so who knows? Still, it's a fun discussion to have. Anyway, let's get into it. One of the things I was hoping Wuthering Waves would have before its release is something like PGR's Trial Zone, but much more advanced. You see, Trial Zones are basically a training arena with a dummy that allows you to get to know your character better, experiment with your teams, and practice your mechanical rotations. Instead, what we have in Wuthering Waves are character Trial Zones, which isn't bad. I mean, PGR also has that, but it's not the Trial Zone itself. You see, we'd benefit more from a more personalized custom training arena that allows us to test out our own rotations and see our current damage potential. This will also help us in practicing animation canceling techs. For instance, when I was learning how to swap cancel for Verena in order to maximize her control gauge efficiency and lowering her on-field time so I can activate her ultra scale as fast as possible, I needed a place to practice this. I realized that her character trial zone isn't the most reliable place to practice as she's the only character there, so I can't really do much about it. I had to work around this by testing her with my team, either in Towers of Adversity or just in the overworld. It's a bit inconvenient. Either way, we'd all benefit from having a trial zone in Wuthering Waves. While we're at it, we should also have one of those minigame zones where we could practice dodging and parrying. It's a neat idea to build up your skill. That said, if we get a more robust trial zone similar to that of PGR's trial zone, that'd be awesome. In any game, buff icons, visuals, and even timers are not only useful, but it also feels really good because it's a strong indicator that you're definitely doing something or something is being done to you, even if you don't know what's going on. Currently, buffs are somewhat visible in a minor manner, like that one glow over your character from Verena's Ultra skill, but we'd benefit greatly if we actually had icons as well. Besides, this helps theory crafters as the icons would be able to give them an idea of when a buff is there or isn't there, and better optimize their rotations in a more accurate manner rather than just being like, well, that's my 30 seconds. Besides, we already have a debuff icon, so what's the harm in adding a buff icon? In PGR, we sort of have a similar problem, so it's more of an issue to address in both games. Technically, we do get indicators for specific activity modifiers, but that's it. As long as we get clear indicators of some sort for buffs and debuffs, it'd be nice to have. While we're at it, why not make crit numbers look different from normal numbers? It's more of a Monster Hunter thing than a PGR thing, even though PGR has that as well. But, you know, it's all about those numbers having the impact aside from it being a big number, which still feels good, but it can certainly feel even better. While we're on the topic of buffs and debuffs, you know what'd be cool? Time lag calculation. This mechanic in PGR is what stops all timers when executing a certain animation, namely ultimates. These timers also include buff and debuff timers, and in a way, feels more like a temporary pause button as well. The reason why I'm talking about this is because my PGR brain keeps thinking that I'm actually activating TLC whenever I use my Calcaro intro skill. Now, I could be wrong that TLC currently doesn't exist in the game, but no one's talking about it, and if they were, it would change a lot of things. It'd be big news. After all, in PGR, what separates Gen 1 frames from Gen 2 frames is that Gen 2 frames have TLC, which makes a massive difference in the value they bring to the table. Though, I will say, fundamentally, time lag calculation is actually really OP when put into practice, but even so, I think it'd be a cool thing to see in the game. Time lag calculation aside, I think we're ready to see some more Gen 2 mechanical characteristics. I'm talking about form or phase changes our characters would have that adds additional depth in their kits. It'd be cool if they incorporate something along the lines of how Alpha Crimson Weave has her Kodachi in her neutral form, and then after ulting, she uses her Odachi, which brings a new lineup of movesets. Of course, her core passives connect the two stanzas together because the flow and rotations of the character is still important, and Eternal Flare deletes health bars. Aside from that, we are technically already seeing some of the Gen 2 mechanical characteristics that are likened to characters like Karenina Daybreak, but not to this extent. But imagine if they doubled down harder in that direction. That'd be cool. Now, this is most likely already down the pipeline, but I would like to see more of it. Stuff like Lee Hyperreal or Bianca Stigmata is super satisfying to play, and I think even now, their gameplay loop trumps what we currently have in Wuthering Waves. They've been moving in this direction for a while now, so I think we're due to having some more of this kind of design in Wuthering Waves, especially having moved from PGR to WUWA. I know someone out there might make a counter argument juxtaposed with some analogy saying, well, not everyone wants to play a charge blade. Well, first off, hello dual blade user, Genshin Impact is right there for you. Alright, that's kind of a joke. Gen 2 design have varying degrees of complexity. Aside from TLC being what sets them apart, some are arguably brain dead. I'll still never forget the comment about Bianca Stigmata being brain dead. Anyway, not all is lost if they decide to design their characters in that direction. Not to mention, the cool factor behind it is unparalleled. And remember, the core design of this game's combat has 40 circuits and concerto gauges, which is very expansive, so there's no harm in giving it a little bit more flair. Norman Revival Plan is a strange one, but stick with me here. This activity is a mining operation where you tackle combat challenges of increasing difficulty to unlock areas that increase the amount of currency you passively get from the activity itself. The currency can then be used to buy materials, in PGR's case, the upgrade materials for cubs. The challenges themselves are also interesting as they have modifiers that would make suggestions for you to use a certain type of team, or go about things in a different way. There are other bits and bobs that goes into it, but I won't get into it because this isn't a Norman Revival Plan guide. Anyway, I think it'd be cool for us to get something like this where we can generate this passive income to buy materials like Echo upgrade materials every week, but we have to earn it by tackling some sort of dungeon that demands something specific from us. Aside from that, it's an endgame combat challenge, so why not have that anyway? Besides, we have a mining area, so why not have a set of combat dungeon mines there? It'd be cool. This has to be in development down the line, right? Right? Technically speaking, lore-wise, we have a room arranged for us in the Magistrate. Didn't get to see it, but oh well. Anyway, a player-owned home is a very important piece of any game as it gives the player a physical manifestation of a place to belong. It's where they can express their creativity and potentially place their characters in there to see what they think. Personally, what I care about are the headpats in PGR. It's important to me as a Blue Archive player. And it's especially good if you don't like a character because you can just neglect them. After all, every parent has a favorite child. And if you think your parent doesn't, I'm sorry to say, it's probably not you. Now, of course, dorms or POH in any gacha game has a functional purpose as well, generating currency to obtain materials and all that. So yeah, let's also have that. It'd be a nice quality of life addition to the game for sure. Finally, I want to talk about something I feel like I will talk about in future videos about Wuthering Waves if this one isn't fulfilled. If you know what this is, well, you know. This is more of a criticism about the game than a suggestion of what I want to see. But I still want to see it, which is Vanguard Sound Studio working on Wuthering Waves music. For a long time now, Vanguard has worked with Kuro to produce the greatest bangers that shifted and elevated the experience of PGR. PGR would be so different if Vanguard wasn't there. Heck, I wouldn't even be a PGR player without them. As it stands, the music in Wuthering Waves it's okay. And if I'm being honest, perhaps I'm being a bit too generous here. It's not what we've come to expect from Kuro games. And from my point of view, it's actually a bit disheartening to see some people criticize the music in Wuba, because it seems like it's representative of what Kuro is capable of musically. A friend once described the music to me as it being more ambient than music, and honestly, I can see where he's coming from. And I'm not only talking about the overall music. Even the boss music isn't really much of a standout, especially when I compare it to Kuro's previous title. Look, if you think that this is all they have to offer, let me tell you, when Kuro collabs with Vanguard Sound Studio, it's an entirely different story. The music that they make has so much character and it's super distinct. There's even Lamia, where they designed the music around a fight that takes place underwater. You gotta listen to it. And then there's Vanguard's contribution to PGR's marketing. You see, Vanguard produces not only high quality music, but alongside it, they also produce high quality videos utilizing visuals in certain areas of the game to drive the point home. And these videos brings eyes towards the game. Every time they drop a track on their channel, the top PGR content creators go out of their way to talk about it in the comment section, because Vanguard knows how to burn a kitchen down. Look, there are people out there, myself included, who was brought into PGR because of Vanguard. And let's not forget that when Wuthering Waves was initially announced, Vanguard threw a video that teased a little bit of the world and a banger soundtrack for Wuthering Waves. It was really good and it made it feel like that was what the identity of Wuthering Waves is supposed to be, setting the bar on what we should expect. You see, when I saw the initial announcement and the intent for the world of Wuba to revolve around sound, I thought Vanguard Sound Studio is going to have a field day for this game. And you know what? Flow, the song they made for Wuba, was a snippet of what they could do. But right now, Flow is nowhere to be found in the game. And people are still waiting for Kuro to put Flow in it. Heck, people are still waiting for Vanguard Sound Studio to work on more songs for Wuba. Nowadays, all I do is layer PGR music by Vanguard Sound Studio over boss fights in Wuthering Waves, and I'll end up getting a much more elevated experience, like this. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe Vanguard Sound Studio already has Halo Week or Ghost Final cooking something for Kuro. After all, these are longtime collaborators with Kuro. It's entirely possible. But until I see Vanguard throw up Kuro Games x Vanguard Sound Studio or Wuthering Waves x Vanguard Sound Studio, I'm going to keep talking about it. I really want to see them cook for this game aside from PGR. So yeah, that's all I have for now about what I would like to see from PGR be implemented into Wuthering Waves. They've put these ideas to work before, so why not do it again? Anyway, what do you think? Did I miss anything? What do you want to see from PGR that would be cool to have in Wuba? Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, because every like and subscription will get you closer to pulling a Jinshi. Trust me, I'm sure it'll work. Pretty sure it'll work.